بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين. أيها الأخوة والأخوات، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, and welcome to session 27, the 27th session of the English class, or the English course for the students of economics and business administration. And in today's class, or in today's session, this 27th session, we will continue our discussion of the simple present tense. We'll do some readings again and some questions. We'll explain how to make more questions in the simple present tense, and some other topics that we will look at, inshallah. So let's start so we don't waste more time. Okay, first slide. All right. I think this was the exercise that we have ended with, ended our session, last session, and I asked you to complete it at home. So, all right. Now here it says read the text below. First of all, present tense, I and you. Okay, read the text below, then answer the questions in the following slide. There will be, of course, more questions in the following slide. In this slide, we'll just do some reading. And let's read it together. Rayyan and Salman. Rayyan and Salman are brothers. They're from Al-Kharj, but they don't live there now. They live in Riyadh. They're both teachers, and they work in a bank in Riyadh. Rayyan is married and lives with his wife Shadan in an apartment in the center of Riyadh. Salman isn't married. He lives alone in an apartment in the center of Riyadh too. Rayyan's apartment is small. It has 2 bedrooms, a living room, a balcony, and a small kitchen. Salman's apartment is smaller. It only has 1 bedroom, a small living room, and a very small kitchen. Rayyan and Salman like Riyadh a lot. They go shopping on weekends and sometimes play sports together. They like soccer, but they don't like tennis and basketball. All right. So this reading is about Rayyan and Salman. Before we, of course, continue, let me explain something here. The first sentence here, of course, is about, is like an introductory one that introduces the topic of the paragraph. And you remember, we discussed the, of course, how to write a paragraph and what it's supposed to have, like one idea, right? So this paragraph is about Rayyan and Salman. The whole text is actually about them. All right, and notice that the verbs here are in the, again, simple present. The whole text is about their basically daily schedule, or actually what they do. There are some facts about them and where they live. And you know, if you look at the verbs here, the first sentence, of course, no, the second one has this verb, live and live, right? And then here we have the verb work. They work in a bank. And then Rayyan then here is married and lives, because again Rayyan is singular, lives, right, with his wife Shadan. And then here Salman also isn't married. He lives, again with this here, because it's singular, the subject. And all right, the apartment, of course, here has 2. Okay, Rayyan's apartment has 2 bedrooms, so that's also another verb, and it is has because it is, of course, the singular. And this one is also another verb, has, and in this paragraph here, short one. They go shopping, okay, play sports, and like. And then like also, don't like. All of these are verbs, and they're of course, in the infinitive. Except that we, of course, add that S to the verbs or in case the subject is the pronoun he, she, it, or if it is a singular, noun, like Rayyan, and if it is singular, basically. All right. Now, exercise 1, answer questions. Next slide. All right. Now, the first question is, do Rayyan and Salman live in Al-Kharj? This is a yes-no question, as you know. And notice that we use do again. Do, because we are asking about Rayyan and Salman, and two people, two guys, all right? Do Rayyan and Salman live in Riyadh? And then live here, no change in the verb. And of course, no, they don't. They live in Riyadh. And notice that we give, of course, short answers to yes-no questions. No, they don't. They live in Riyadh. Number 2, do they work in a bank? Do they work in a bank? The answer is yes, they do. Yes, they do. Of course, we need just only one full stop here. Yes, they do. Or you can say yes, they work in a bank. Number 3, do they live in an apartment? Sorry, do they live in one apartment? No, they don't. They live in 2 separate apartments. Remember that Rayyan lives in his apartment and Salman lives in his own apartment. So they don't live in the same apartment, they live in 2 separate apartments. Okay, and number 4, do Rayyan and Salman live in large apartments? Large, that means big. Do they live in large apartments? No, they don't. They live in small apartments. They live in small apartments. Rayyan, of course, Rayyan's apartment is a little bit larger than Salman's apartment. Do their apartments have living rooms? Well, yes, they do. We're asking about the apartments themselves. I said, do their apartments, it means the apartments of Salman and Rayyan, do they have living rooms? Yes, they. They here refers to the apartments, not to Rayyan and Salman. Okay. And question number 6, do they go shopping on weekdays? No, they don't. They go shopping on weekends. They go shopping on weekends. So we basically give the answer and then we give the correct information. Number 7, do they like sports? Yes, they do. And the last question, what sports do they like to play? What sports do they like to play? What sports do they like to play? They like to play soccer. Or you can say they like soccer, but they like to play soccer. You can also say they like playing soccer. All right. Exercise 2, put the words in the correct order. Look at these questions here, because they end in question marks, right? That means we are going to make questions. The first one, we have Salman, where does and live. So what is the correct order to make a question? What do we start with? Do we start with Salman, or do we start with the WH word here? But that's of course a question word. Or do we start with does? Well, or what? That of course is supposed to be done by you. This is like a homework, all right? So you may just kind of copy the questions on a piece of paper and do the exercise. You basically put them in the correct order. And I think that should be a very easy one. This would probably be a hard one to do, the most difficult one. Let me go through them first here. Live, he alone does, and then work does, where he like does, Riyadh, and then what sports he does. And the last one is, of course, bedrooms, does, his, how, have, many, apartment. That's a tough one, but I think you're up to the challenge, and by now I think you should be able to do it. Okay, now I can just tell you that you can start with how many, and then you basically finish the question. Okay, exercise 3. Answer the questions in exercise 2. Okay, well, maybe we have the answers here. All right, let's see. The first question is, all right, now exercise 3. Read the following sentences and make them yes/no questions. Read the following sentences and make them yes/no questions. الآن راح تقرأ الجمل, okay, and you will make them yes/no questions وتحولهم من جمل مثبتة إلى أسئلة. Right? Yes أسئلة بس بنوع إيش؟ yes/no questions. So they have to be yes/no questions. Because you can make them, of course, information questions, but that's not what I want in this exercise. All right, let me read the first sentence. Rayyan and Salman work in al-Kharj. That's an affirmative sentence. It's a positive sentence. It's not a question. It's not a negative. So we want to make it a question. What do we do? Look at the subject. The subject is what? Rayyan and Salman. And that's what? 2 people, 2 guys. Okay, that's plural. And then that's the verb. Okay, of course, because we know that the subject comes first, then the verb, and then the rest of the sentence. And here it is a prepositional phrase in al-Kharj. So we want to make that a yes/no question. Rayyan and Salman work in al-Kharj. So the question would be then, what do we need for a plural? Remember the helping verb? ايش الفعل المساعد اللي احنا نستخدمه لما يكون السبجect is plural to make a question or to make a negative? It's the verb or the helping verb do. So do they work in al-Kharj? Or we can say, do Rayyan and Salman work in al-Kharj? Do they work in al-Kharj? Do Rayyan and Salman work in al-Kharj? That's the question. All right, number 2. They have apartments in Riyadh. Again, this is the subject, this is the main verb, and this is the rest of the sentence, بقية الجملة. And we want to make it a question. Again, we need do because we have they here. We need do to make a question. Okay. Do they have apartments in Riyadh? Do they have apartments in Riyadh? And I suggest, يعني أنا أقترح إنه أيضا أنتم as you read the questions, you give answers. يعني when you, of course, turn the sentence, this affirmative sentence, from a positive sentence to a question, when you make the question, you give an answer to it. So, for example, when you say, do they work in al-Kharj? Do they work in al-Kharj? Give an answer, okay? Or have somebody else, just kind of work with you. And then when you say, do they have apartments in al-Kharj or in Riyadh? The answer, of course, would be, yes, they do. Yes, they do, because that's a short. We need a short answer here for yes/no questions. And the third one, they play soccer. That's, again, a positive sentence. They play soccer. How do you make a question? Again, here it has to be they, not the. So let me just very quickly change it. Let me just add a y here, and excuse me for that. They play soccer, and this is the question. Do they play soccer? Do they play soccer? Number 4. Rayyan and Salman like tea. Rayyan and Salman like tea. Again, the subject is both Rayyan and Salman, and this is the main verb, and this is what they, of course, like. Again, keep in mind that the verb like is what? A transitive verb, and it takes an object. So you cannot just stop here and say Rayyan and Salman like. You have to say something after the verb like, because it has to have an object. It has to have an object. All right. The question will be then, do they like tea? Do they like tea? And what? The answer would be either yes or no. If it is yes, you would say yes, they do. If not, you would say no, they don't. No, they don't. And of course, you have to go back to the reading again to write the answers. And number 5, they work in a bank. The question would be, do they work in a bank? Number 6, they go shopping on weekends. And the question would be, again, they, and then the main verb, and then the rest of the sentence. Do they go shopping on weekends? Do they go shopping on weekends? And the last one, number 7, they like riyadh. This is simple. They like riyadh. Just 3 words in that sentence. So it's very easy. Do they like riyadh? Do they like riyadh? The only thing that we added here is just adding that do here. So again, that's probably the simplest one in this exercise. And the next exercise here is complete the following using is, are, or do. Okay, so we need to use either is, okay, the verb be is, the verb be are, or do. Okay, or do. Now, notice that we have a space here. We have blank, nothing. We want to basically complete this question here. Read it. It's a question. You like sports? Yes, I. And what? Which one? Is it is? Can we say is you like sports? Now, what do we use with it? Or are you like sports? Or do you like sports? Do you like sports? Which one? I mean, to you, which sounds better? A lot of times, it's really what sounds basically better is the correct one, and of course that depends on, of course, you know, how much time you spend, of course, listening to the language. So the answer would be do. Do you like sports? Yes, this is the answer, of course, and it is again short answer. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Number 2, where I am from? Where I am from? Where I am from? He from al-Kharj. We need, you know, one of these. Either is, are, or do. And again, Rayan is what? One person. So with one, we need is here. So it's where is. Where is Rayan from? And again, where, all right, is the, of course, question word, followed by the verb be. Remember, we discussed that extensively in previous sessions. And so where is Rayan from? And then we say he, what? Do we use do or are? Well, of course, we cannot use are, and we cannot use do. We have to have another one, another is here. So he is from al-Kharj. He is from al-Kharj. Number 3, you from Riyadh. So what do we not? What do we need here to make that question? We need are, right? Or do are. Are you from Riyadh? No, I'm from Mecca. No, I'm from Mecca. Number 4, what you do on weekends? Again, here, this is the main verb, all right? So we need a helping verb here. And you remember what the helping verb that goes with the pronoun you? It is do again. So what do you do on weekends? Number 5. Rayan and Salman, that's very simple, of course. Employees. Rayan and Salman, that's plural, all right? So we need a verb be here to tell us about them. Remember what we said about verb be? It introduces people, tells us about their jobs and what they do, and about their, of course, you know, where they're from and all that kind of thing. So here we need the verb be for the plural subject, Rayan and Salman, and that should be are. So Rayan and Salman are employees. Employees means موظفين. Number 6, that's a question. And here, a main verb, that means we need, of course, a helping verb. And this is again, a yes/no question. And it is, of course, the subject is they. All right, so it is do. Do they live together? Meaning Rayyan and Salman. Do they live together? No. They, what? Not. Can we say, no, they are not? Or, no, they is not? Again, we're asking about living. It's something that they do, that they have, that they're doing, right? I mean, they do, basically. So it's a verb here, right? So we need a what? A helping verb here. It cannot be are, because we're not asking about whether they are like teachers or bankers or accountants or employees or anything like that. We're not asking about the thing that they basically their jobs. No, we're asking about whether they live together or not. So it has to be do here, followed by the not, by the word not for negative. So no, they do not. No, they do not. Number 7, he a teacher? He, again, we're asking about he. So is it is, are, or do? It's actually is. Is he a teacher? Is he a teacher? Yes, he, again, that should be very simple. Yes, he is. And the last one is what sports they play. Again, we need a helping verb here, and it should be do. What sports do they play? What sports do they play? And I suggest again that you give answers, right, to them before we continue. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Again, we're continuing on with the simple present tense, but here we're going to look at the pronouns he, she, it, with the frequency adverbs usually, sometimes, and never. All right, read the text and underline the verbs, then answer the questions. Okay, let's read the text together. Abdullah Muhammad is 23, and he is an English teacher. He always has a busy day. He gets up at 5 o'clock. Okay, he gets up at 5 o'clock and takes a shower. After the Fajr prayer, he has breakfast at 6 o'clock. Then he leaves home at 6:30 and goes to work by car. The normal time to start work at his school is 7:30. He gets to school at 7 because he has to be in class on time. He has lunch at his school's cafeteria. He often has rice and meat for lunch. He usually works late. He finishes work at 3 o'clock every day. On his way home, he sometimes buys a sandwich and eats it at home. He gets home at 4:30 p.m. He never goes out in the evening. He checks his schedule. He checks his students' homework assignments. He doesn't work on weekends. He goes to bed at 10. Okay, now what are we supposed to do here? According to the directions, it says read the text, اقرأ النص, and underline the verbs. وإيش؟ وضع خط تحت الأفعال. Then بعد ذلك answer questions. بعد كده إيش؟ أجب على الأسئلة. And of course questions will be in the following slide. والأسئلة راح تكون في الشريحة التي بعدها. Now let's underline the verbs. What do you think? Look at the first sentence. Abdullah Muhammad is 23. And by the way, when I say underline the verbs, I mean the simple present or simple present simple tense verbs. Okay, because that's a verb, but it's a verb be. Okay, but we want the simple present tense verbs that normally go with these frequency adverbs like usually, sometimes, and never. So what are they? In the first sentence, we do not have one. We don't have it. Let's see. Abdullah Muhammad is 23 and he is an English teacher. Well, we have verb be here and a verb be here. What about the second sentence? He always has a busy schedule. He always has a busy day. Okay, he always has a busy day. what is the verb? Okay, if you look at this, the sentence, the verb would be that one, right? He always has. Okay, so we have underlined the first verb. The next sentence is he gets up at 5 o'clock and takes a shower. Again, notice that the subject is what? Abdullah Muhammad, and that's he. Okay, that's a he, right? So he, and then look at this, the S here at the end. He gets up at 5 o'clock. And with this, we have to stop. I have to stop because it's the end of this session. I'll stop, here. But in the next session, session 28, we will continue this slide and check the verbs and underline the rest of the verbs. So until we, of course, do that in the next session, I would say شكرا لاستماعكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.